ask. It's a fascinating ask. This is what I'm very passionate about. This is what makes this job awesome. I think the point is exactly to acknowledge that this job is evolving, it's changing. It's not anymore about building campaigns and doing TV commercials. It's about being in the cockpit. It's about driving growth. So for me, the point is to embrace it and to really feel the joy. Of course, it's challenging, but it's great to be in the cockpit and to have the opportunity to be the key ambassador of people, of consumers inside an organization, and to then connect that with all the commercial levers to make sure that the company gets together so that you can address business problems and consumer problems to drive growth, to do good things for consumers and good things for the business. I think that's the best job in the world.
Not even close. I think it's becoming a more exciting and more interesting place to work. And I think that the opportunities to look across in the entire organization and stay right close to sales and really make a difference you've got to look at all those things. What's the holistic picture that you're pulling all the levers you can to drive to the business objectives of the organization? To me, I think it's more exciting. I really believe in zero daylight between marketing and comms and sales. And I think all those pieces coming together, it just adds in places where you can have closer alignment, tighter alignment, and make a more meaningful impact.
Yeah, I don't think it's an impossible job at all, but I do think it's about how you set yourself up for success. So you have to be clear when you're being hired. What am I being hired to do? What's success going to look like for me in this role, for you, my boss who's hiring me, and for the company? And how are we going to measure it? And get very clear what you're going to be doing and how it'll get measured, and then you're set up for success. And then not being distracted by all of the shiny new stuff, all the things that come up, and being dragged every which way. Because I think the danger is it looks like it's becoming impossible because there's so much stuff you could find attractive. If you just focus on what you're supposed to do, it's not a problem at all.
I don't think so. I think it's a very difficult job because it's a job like Marcel was saying this morning, it's a job that requires you to be in charge of growth. You have to deliver. You have to sell things. You have to connect with consumers and grow your market penetration and your overall, revenue. So it's a job where you can't hide, right? And I think it's also an incredibly multifaceted job. It requires you to understand the product, the audiences, the go-to-market mechanisms, the technology, all of that together, and then to orchestrate that in many cases across, a huge brand portfolio in many, many markets. So, it's an incredibly difficult job. And I don't think CMOs have had enough support historically with the tools and the infrastructure to do all that coordination, right? And so in a sort of slightly I guess pessimistic way, there are many CMOs who feel like general contractors. On the other hand, the really good CMOs feel like they've built an engine for growth and that they are the future of their brands. And so I think that's that's a bit of a spectrum between those two things, but it's just not an impossible job. It's just a very difficult job.
No, I don't think it's impossible. It's undoubtedly complex, but the key is you got to surround yourself with really great people and listen to them. That's why they're there, and you work together as a team, and I think that complexity can absolutely be conquered.
We need to be more ruthless than ever when it comes to grounding our work on business results. Because you can get lost in activity, and you can look back to your year and then find that you've been putting out fires. And it is the role and the job of the CMO to make sure that every activity that gets done gets prioritized to make the biggest impact in the business. At the end, that's what we're here for. So this is a skill, and it's sometimes an uncomfortable thing to be done, because sometimes we have so many of these beautiful shiny objects and sexy things that happen, or even crises that we have to deal with. So what tells me about the role of the CMO is that the skill and the ability to be able to ruthless, drive priorities and focus the organization is more essential than ever.
I was thinking about a conference that I was at recently where I was asked whether climate scientist is the impossible role. So I think right now in the world, actually, a lot of things feel impossible. We are in a massive transition moment. We're in a transition moment around technology and AI. We're in a transition moment around climate change and all these massive changes that are happening around the world in social demographics, in politics. So yeah, it's not an easy role. It's probably a better paid role than climate scientist. But actually, I can imagine that right now for CMOs, it can feel that there's a lot on their head. What I would say is, don't regress. Don't try to go back to basics. Don't try to go back in time to when it felt simpler. Actually, lean in. This complexity is for the rest of our careers. It's not going anywhere. And the people who perform are the ones who are going to be able to actually deal with that complexity, find solutions, move forward, not those who somehow go, oh, I'm going back to basics and making it all simple. Going, it is not a simple world. Simple solutions won't cut it.
There has definitely been an evolution of the CMO role. Some days it feels like an impossible job, but I think overall it's exciting. I think you have so many more tools. What I want to do is really position, at Nissan, is position the CMO role as a strategic partner, and a strategic partner with our finance team, with our CEO, with our stakeholders around the world, including our dealer network. And to me, you really need to have everyone on board. It's less about what is the campaign that you ran, but again, like, how are you driving consistent demand over time that's bringing in great consumers that want to stay with you as a brand. And that's why I think it's really about a strategic business partner as opposed to the group that creates campaigns. It is impossible sometimes because there's so much technology, the media landscape is completely changing, and then there's always financial pressure. But that's where the opportunity is. And so it's a matter of, feels impossible, but you have to look at the opportunity that all of that generates.